If your tournament had fallen during this time, would you have made the same decision, and why?
Well, look, Chad, I mean, first of all, my heart goes out to all of the DMV area student athletes who did not have an opportunity to fulfill their seasons and compete for state championships. Short answer to your question, man, yes. I think the district has a very good group of leaders, being from the mayor and the Department of Health. We would have followed their lead, and I am confident that if our tournament had fallen during this time frame, we would have canceled our tournament as well in the name of student safety and health.
Well, that leads us to the second question, because here's where everyone is now in terms of the Maryland basketball tournament. They want to know, when's it going to be rescheduled, but I guess even more specifically, if it would be rescheduled. Where would you believe that the district would fall on that had it been you?
Well, I mean, I think you have to take a very hard look. Look, yes, heart-wise, I would want to reschedule. Practical, I don't know if we could. I don't know if they're going to be able to. Spring sports, there are a lot of sports that you have to try to get in and try to share venues and other, impediments along the way. It will be very hard to reschedule tournaments if this lingers past, a 2-week period here.
You speak to the spring sports that are on the horizon in the DCSAA, in specific baseball, across a myriad others are coming up. What is the status of those spring sports as of now?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a question we asked ourselves today. My staff now, we're on a telework for the next 2 weeks, DC public schools, and we're really all DC school systems are closed for 2 weeks, opening back up in April. One of our central questions this morning was, we're going to have to get together with these other conferences within the District of Columbia and see where a state championship would fit. You've got prom coming up, you've got graduation coming up, senior trips coming up. So spring is a very hectic time as it is, and with weather and all, trying to reschedule it and get everything to fit before graduation is going to be difficult, but we're going to give it a go.
Here's what I want to talk to you about, fam. Obviously, on Thursday, these games were postponed, the semifinals. It was huge. Your team as a whole was hot. You all were destined to make a run. Big game with Richard Montgomery. What thoughts, what feelings went through your brain when you found out that the game had been postponed?
It was crazy because we're in school. Everybody just dialed in, just looking at all my teammates, headphones in, going straight to class. It's just like, we were just ready for this game. We watched film on them. We just prepared, and it was just shocking. It just had to happen.
Huge game with Richard Montgomery is what you all were walking into. And now I know that you had to have felt some disappointment, as you alluded to in that moment. A couple of days have passed. Did you believe then that it was the right call, and how do you feel about that now?
I mean, yeah, I believe it was the right call, but I mean, yeah, if I'm looking at like what the NBA is doing, college basketball, I can see why they're doing that for high school sports as well. So it was like, I gotta live with it. Like, they might be doing the right thing.
And now the reality sets in. You speak to the NBA postponing their season. You speak to college basketball not playing March Madness, the NCAA tournament. There's a good chance that we're not talking postponement, but that we're talking about cancellation here. If it is canceled, you don't get to play Richard Montgomery, you don't get to play for a state, how will you feel if your team has played their last game this year?
I mean, it would be, me personally, because it's my senior year, and it would be like kind of hard because we worked hard. A lot of teams doubted us, a lot of people doubted us, and we came far. Like, a lot of people ain't expect us to beat the teams that we beat and make it this far, So it'd just be like, was this it's not a waste of time, but it was like, wow, like this had to happen my senior year and everything.
Yeah, not being able to finish what it is that you all have started. I wish the best for you all, fam. Hopefully we'll see you back out there on the courts, you all versus RM.
Appreciate the same thing.
Of course, we're talking coronavirus. We're talking about Maryland playoff postponement. Joining me now, my main man, Tremaine Chesley of St. Charles. Tremaine, here's what I want to talk to you about, bro. You all were scheduled to play on Thursday. Everybody was excited and pumped up about it. Then you got that call saying that the game was postponed. Where were you? Where was your team when you got that call? How'd you react?
I was leaving lunch. We all was supposed to meet in the library and to finish our lunch. And then our coach had sat us down. He let us know before our pep rally, before we get on the bus and leave, before all of that, he had let us know, like, they had postponed the game and that we wasn't going to be playing today and stuff like that. But he still wanted us to celebrate the pep rally as in we still did. And I mean, a lot of people on the team took it as more days to practice, more days to get better prepared. But I mean, like us, probably the seniors, we probably took it like dang, like we was hyped up for it. We wanted it. It's our senior year. We worked hard to get here, so we just wanted to finish what we started.
And you speak to the point that this is your senior year. You do want to finish. There's some speculation that this game may not ever be played, and so subsequently the finals may not ever be played. You all are in the midst of a special season. What does it feel like knowing that it may not be concluded the right way?
Like, it just, like, you gotta take a breath, like, because my senior year, I started what I wanted to finish and just couldn't finish it. And the way it ended was just wow.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't end right here. Hopefully we will get you back onto the courts. If we do make that back onto the courts, we know that it's a semifinal action. The game of the century really is potentially on the horizon. You all and Poly, if we get to the courts, if you both win, what do we have to be excited about in a St. Charles-Poly matchup?
A lot of tension in the air. It's a lot of energy. You know, they beat us last year. We had beat them over the summer this year. So this is going to just, like, everything we practice and prepare for is going to be put to the test.
Well, hopefully we will be able to see that matchup. Brother, I thank you very much for taking a minute with me, and I wish you all well. Coach, you all are in the midst of an amazing run. I'm talking about not just this year, but really over the span of the last few years. Thursday, you're preparing for your semifinal matchup, a potential another trip to the finals. You get the call saying that the game has been postponed. Where were you? What thoughts and emotions were going through you all's bodies?
So our bus had just arrived at the school, and we were about to get on it to head to College Park to play in the state Final Four. We had just eaten our pregame meal. A few minutes before we're into our routine, going over the scouting report, we're in game mode, and I got the call from my AD saying that the games were postponed. And so, not gonna lie, there's a difference in my mind between postponed and canceled, and we are all holding on to some hope that maybe we'll get to finish this run. Because as you said, I mean, it was heartbreaking for so many reasons, because it's just like instantly I just thought about all the people that, you know, all the people that have opportunities to be a part of the history that we're looking to make, and I want them all to be able to enjoy the rewards for making that history and to be able to complete it.
We know that that on Thursday, that's when this news initially broke. Now, a day and a half later, how are your student athletes doing?
You know, I think that they're, you know, one is everybody is just, so when something happens that is never, this unprecedented as this is, you know, there's never been, at least in my lifetime or any of theirs, cancellation of such important events. I think everybody's like, well, what's next? You know, what is there going to be a game replayed? When are we going back to school? How bad is it going to get? Are my family members going to be affected by this? So there's a shift from, at the very moment you hear it, all you're thinking about is the game and, you know, the legacy of winning 4 straight state championships and that opportunity possibly leaving. But now I think that everybody's just thinking on a broader scale of what does this whole thing mean to their life and to everything moving forward. What's So first it was, just the news of it being out there, and then it's here. So Johns Hopkins had a no-fan basketball game a couple weeks ago, and then that was like weird to hear about. And then we hear the news that there's going to be only essential personnel in our game. So as we were reading, it was supposed to be only about 150 people in the arena, including our players. So then when you hear that's canceled, it's just like, well, what's next? How bad is this going to be? I think a lot of people are there right now.
And although these are less than opportune situations, you do love to see student athletes beginning to be able to see the larger picture, which is what it is that you're alluding to there. And you spoke to this prior. We don't know whether this is a postponement or whether it is truly going to be a cancellation. If it is a cancellation, what will that mean? What will be the emotional ramifications for your team, especially your senior class?
I mean, it'll be devastating to hear that. There's no question that with so much history on the line, we will all be very disappointed to not be able to have an opportunity to play these last two games. I mean, we were the heavy favorite. We really thought that we were nationally ranked for the first time ever, and wanted to finish the season nationally ranked. We talked about putting that on the state championship banner. It's going to be a lot because, a big part of what we do, when you have goals, you visualize your success. And our guys have come accustomed to, seeing things play out as we work for them, as we visualize them. And this is just nothing of what we thought it would be. So it would be devastating. But at the same time, anything like this is a lesson learned. So we'll figure out how to be. At the end of the day, we did end the season on a win, no matter what.
Yes.
We did win our regional championship. We did win our city championship. I mean, this is a team that we're not going to be disappointed in our season because of something that was out of our control.
Gotta love
and
that.
that's the right lesson, is that, look, these things, this was not in our control. So whatever happens from it, I don't think we can be but so upset about it. Well, of course, like I said, it's not something that is, we wanted. It's not something we planned for. But it is something that, we'll be able to handle as a mature group.
No question as to why it is that your student athletes are coping so well. It's from the leadership of you, sir. Coach, thank you very much for taking a couple of minutes with me, brother.
I appreciate you calling.
I don't know that anybody else cares more about high school basketball in the DMV than you. You were more excited for this weekend than anybody else. Why did you have such elation for the Simmies?
The high school state championships is the culmination of just an incredible year of high school basketball. And the part that kind of goes beyond that is that there are so many teams competing for one championship. When you look at private school leagues, the WCAC, the IAC, the MAC, you have like 6 to 10 teams competing for a championship. So if the math plays out, like there should be a new champion at least once a decade. Obviously, it doesn't work out like that. But when you talk about the MPSSAA, you have hundreds and hundreds of schools playing for these coveted 4 championships. And some schools may go, there's tons of schools that have never won one. And maybe some of those schools have their first opportunity on a given year. And it's like NCAA and March Madness. You have so many teams competing for this one prize. You have all these crazy matchups of teams and players and coaches playing against each other who in many circumstances had never even heard of each other before they got to University of Maryland. And it just creates for such a compelling atmosphere and just great basketball.
The other day when you and I spoke, we were speaking, of course, of postponement because that's where it was. I've talked to Clark Ray. I've spoken to some other officials who are in the know on these things. And the truth is that this may be a cancellation all along. We won't see that St. Charles Poly matchup or any of the others. If that's the case, why should we be saddened?
I mean, I think it's very unlikely that these games will be played. And it is sad. You have a matchup like you alluded to a second ago. I mean, this might be the most anticipated matchup in decades with St. Charles and Poly. And for this not to happen, it's so sad for all the kids who are supposed to play. I mean, you have seniors who have been working their whole career who finally have an opportunity to win a state championship, and this freak thing in Corona comes around, and their career just comes to a scratching halt. And it's really unfortunate. It's really sad.